can either get with it or get flipped like an hourglass. We live by honor and no excuse. Just sit to pray up to the Lord. I told him, then let all the terrorists loose. Hold your tongue or get rebuked, cause you made a truce. With a race that made merchandise out of my abuse. Scared of who? You got your gun, then pull it. Me and my niggas start to argue, it's about who gon' bite the bullet. It gon' take round, take round, take round. Opponents better move slow. Attack dog for this truth, nigga, cool yo. Go to ground, go to promise. My nine just like my wife, she concealed, she modest. I know 2 things, a robber will not prosper. And any man harm me and my octave gon' meet the doctor. Cause this life is warfare, it's not an easy walk. Go ahead. Been watching my people die so you can miss me with that love talk. My UPK soldiers, any man try to cross your path, make him regret it. What that mean? Fall on his ass. Comparing me to you really ain't no contest. Long live one West. Say what? Long live one West. This for those who thinking we ain't ready for. Tell them back up. I'm about to drop something heavy for. Go to ground, 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 go to ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Give ground, give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground, give ground, back up, give ground, give ground. It's all about that warfare, boy. Take ground, 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 take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down. Take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground, take ground. My soldiers take ground till them stand down.
West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me. One West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the death till they bury me.
All right, we should be too wild. Let me just make sure the live is, you know what I'm saying, picking me up. Most High in Christ, that's what it is, man. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah to all my brothers. Yahweh Shema Atah Shem Yahushua to all my sisters. You understand? This is yet another episode of Unplugged FTM, Unplugged from the Matrix, man. With, of course, myself, Priest Officer 500 Thabawan of the ISUPK. Unfortunately, my brother, Officer of 1,000 Ayaz Ab, could not be here today, but that's no sweat. We're going to go ahead and rock it out. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and rock it out and do our best, you know what I'm saying, to cover for the brother. You know what I'm saying? As we bring you another episode of Unplugged from the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? The podcast where we, of course, discuss, analyze, and go into many aspects of history, current events, and things like that, and discuss what's going on in the world today as it pertains to our people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, who, of course, are the true Jews according to the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So we started a little late. We got another TWAB show for you. We're going to bring out a few things, you know what I'm saying, that, again, is going on in the news today. You know what I'm saying? So, again, let's just do a quick, I just want to do just a quick, you know what I'm saying, roll over what we're going to. Of course, we got to continue what we were talking about last week. You know what I'm saying? Last week we went to a story talking about Barack Obama and some comments that he made. You know what I'm saying? Some comments that he made in relation to whether or not Barack Obama has he helped black people more than Donald Trump? Has Donald Trump helped black people more than Barack Obama? We don't know. Who knows? We'll find out, and we'll get to the bottom of that today. All right? Then, of course, we got some news stories. You know what I'm saying? We got U.S. executives. U.S. executes Brandon Bernard despite 11th hour appeal. This is a big story going on this week. You know what I'm saying? This brother, we're going to read the actual article, but this brother was executed, killed by the U.S. government. And we're going to get into the details of why this is so prevalent when it comes to the plight of black people in America today, and why it shows that nothing in this country has changed. Everything is exactly the same as it's always been. You understand? So, of course, we're going to talk about that. In relation to that, we're going to go into some history of a name you may be familiar with, the history of George Stinney. You might have heard that name before. We're going to get into that today and talk to you about who that was, and again, how it relates to this brother, Brandon Bernard, who was just executed, I believe, yesterday. All right? And then we're going to talk about a Native Indian sister named Hannah Akuish, right? And then, of course, last but not least, we got an article on a brother that was killed in Columbus, Ohio. He was killed by the police entering his own home. We're going to get into an article on that. And, of course, we're going to bring out some scriptures, you know what I'm saying, related to those things. And what I want you to focus on as we get into these things today, if you have any questions, of course, you can type them into the chat. You know what I'm saying? If we can get to them, then we'll get to them. If not, we'll write them down. You know what I'm saying? Maybe be able to answer them next week. You understand? But I want you to ask yourself, again, as we go to this Unplugged from the Matrix, everything you see in the media, everything you see on the news convinces you that as a black or Hispanic man in America that you are free and that, you know, the worst is over. The worst is over. But, of course, if we just do just a little bit of, I won't even say research, if we just do our due diligence, you know what I'm saying, it's easy for us to see. Or before, I won't even make a sweeping gesture. I won't even say it. We'll find out. We'll read the articles, and you can decide for yourself. Okay? Unplugged from the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? Priest No Safar, 100,001. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go ahead and just get a little music going real quick. You know what I'm saying? Before we get into our first story. So bear with us. You know what I'm saying? Remember, this is Unplugged from the Matrix, ISUBK Durham, NC. You understand?
Rip the soul out of Pharisee. Speaking heresy, it get you fucked up apparently. It's like they daring me. I said chill, they ain't hearing me.
This, of course, is my brother Captain Taha Ward, man. Classic joint, man. One West till they bury me, man.
I be on that soldier shit. I told you shit phenomenal. Nah, but he abdominal. So what you suckers trying to do? Rhyming comical, guess it's funny until I'm bombing you. Bring apocalypse to them pussy niggas that's popping shit. Team of all stars, I coach them up like I'm Popovich. Fuck the politics and the lobbyists and apologists. They vagina, so we gon' check them like gynecologists. It's kinda obvious how the situation is ominous. The way I vomit this and regurgitate for the audience. They start applauding this cause the competition is fraudulent. From the era where niggas smoke you up like a parliament. The flow been stupid, shit has gotten retarded since. All the dominance of One West rising to prominent. Cause I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. They want a nigga quiet, mute my maneuvers, but I ride like I got Groupons for Uber. Rhymes hard like they been viewed by Medusa. 9 milli Luger, 17 in the Ruger. Only need a few to sit up in your medulla. Obligata for the regatta, niggas wildin', they win every dollar. They riding by in black Impalas, let the semi holler. A showstopper, been this proper since the teeny bopper. But now I'm going, I'm off Patron, a premium of vodka. I put extensions on the Glock, modified the chopper. The swore heavy, war ready, and that's worth the mama. No marijuana, say I got the loudest silence on it. When I'm up on it, ain't no rapper do it like I do it. A lot of spitties and writers, but when the heat's on, none of them can get to the fire around with me. And I had a nigga spin like a tire, down the deep, and I'm still dope as a piper. Every bar burn hard like a spoon with a lighter. Fuel to igniter, I'm winning, coming through with the title because UP. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me.
All right, Most High in Christ. Of course, that was Captain Taha War. You know what I'm saying? One West Till They Bury Me. That's a UPK classic. You understand? UPK classic. So now, we're going to get into this first story tonight. Okay? You know what I'm saying? We're going to get right into this first story. And we're going to read, you know what I'm saying, a very, you know what I'm saying, a tough story to read. You know what I'm saying? Because again, this is not 1950 something. This is not 20s, 30s, 40s. This was yesterday that this happened. Yesterday. All right? So, this is NBC News. It says, U.S., the United States, executes Brandon Bernard, who was 18 at the time of his crime, despite appeals. Bernard's execution Thursday evening, the 9th by the federal government this year, was one of 5 planned in the remaining weeks of the Trump administration. Brandon Bernard, who was 18 when he took part in a 1999 double murder in Texas, was killed by lethal injection at a federal prison Thursday, despite 11th hour attempts for court intervention. The case drew renewed interest in recent weeks and sparked debate about whether the death penalty is a necessary punishment for someone who was barely a legal adult at the time of the crime. Bernard, who was 40 when he was executed, was the youngest person, based on his age when the offense occurred, in nearly 7 decades to be put to death by the federal government. The Supreme Court denied a request for an emergency stay Thursday night, and Bernard was pronounced dead at 9:27 p.m. In the moments before his death, a calm Bernard spoke directly to the family of the couple he killed. "I'm sorry," he said. "That's the only words that I can say that completely capture how I feel now and how I felt that day." Bernard's attorney called the execution a stain on America's criminal justice system. Brandon made one horrible mistake at age 18, said the lawyer Robert C. Owen, but he did not kill anyone, and he never stopped feeling shame and profound remorse for his actions in the crime that took the lives of Todd and Stacey Bagley. And he spent the rest of his life sincerely trying to show, as he put it, that he was not that person. Bernard was the 9th person put to death by the federal government this year, after the Justice Department resumed executions in July after a 17-year hiatus on the federal level. So what's going on here? So what did we just read? We just read that this brother, you know what I'm saying, it says, like, it was the 9th person put to death by the federal government this year after the Justice Department resumed executions in July after a 17-year hiatus on the federal level. Why is this interesting? So they resumed executions in July of this year. Why is that interesting? Why would it be interesting that they resumed executions? One of them being this brother, and there was other brothers as well. I think 3 of them. Why would that be interesting specifically this year? You got something, sis?
I mean, was it done like by Trump? Like Trump gave them permission to do it?
Absolutely.
So is it because he's about to leave office and he's trying to really, I guess, finish up his foolery?
You could say that. You could. I mean, that's definitely something you could say. You know, that wasn't what I was looking for, but you could say that Donald Trump, again, is just showing his teeth. He's showing who he is, getting these executions out the way before he leaves office. You know what I'm saying? But what else? What happened in 2020? What's going on in 2020? But yet they still found time to kill a black dude who murdered some people back when he was 18 years old in 1999. Wasn't even old enough to drink. Now, again, of course, are we condoning murder? Absolutely not. We're not condoning murder at all. You know what I'm saying? It is wrong to commit murder. You cannot do it, right? But America has some goddamn nerve, essentially is what I'm saying here. America has some goddamn nerve to put a brother to death for some crime he committed when he was barely an adult. You understand? But what's going on in America today? Say that one more time.
The virus.
Coronavirus. Coronavirus is running all through the lungs of America right now. It's running all through your lungs. It's running all through your trachea and your esophagus. It's destroying the fabric of the American way. Your stocks are down. Your economy is down. Your everything is down. But of course, you found a way to set yet another record. Another one. Well, not really a record, but you kind of, you went back to your old ways. This brother was the youngest based on how old he was at the time. Remember that. Now think of that. This brother was 40 years old when he died. 40 years old. He committed this crime when he was 18 years old. 18. And it said that he was the youngest American or the youngest person executed by the U.S. government in over 70 years. Salaki, let me read that again. 1 second. It says, where am I at? Come on. Bernard, who was 40 when he was executed, was the youngest person based on his age when the offense occurred in nearly 7 decades to be put to death by the federal government. Right? Let me skip down a little bit. It says that Bernard was the 9th person put to death by the federal government this year after the Justice Department resumed executions in July after a 17-year hiatus on the federal level. The U.S. government hasn't even been executing anybody on the federal level in 17 years. That does not mean that no individual states killed anybody. It means what? It means that on the federal level, the federal government had not killed anybody in over 17 years. Yet they found time in the midst of a pandemic to go back to their old ways and kill this brother who committed this crime almost 30 years ago. 22 years ago, he committed this crime. Again, not condoning the crime, but 22 years ago. And now here in 2020, in the midst of people dying because of a pandemic, you just had to kill this brother. You just had to kill this brother after appeal, after appeal, after appeal. And I want you to hone in on the part about the youngest. He didn't commit this crime as a 40-year-old man. He committed this crime as an 18-year-old boy. You understand? And I want you to keep that in mind. Let's continue with the article, Salakia. This year, fear over the spread of the coronavirus in prisons has largely led states to put holds on executions. But the surging numbers of COVID-19 cases and deaths in recent months have not deterred the federal government from acting in the final weeks of Donald Trump's presidency. Bernard's attorney asked a federal appeals court Wednesday to temporarily halt his execution while they pursued claims that the prosecution at his trial unconstitutionally withheld evidence that would have led 5 jurors to give him a life sentence. 5 jurors have since come forward to attest that they no longer support the death penalty in the case, while a former prosecutor who challenged Bernard's appeal of his death verdict said she did not believe he should be put to death, in part because he was a teenage offender and had become a model prisoner. 40 years old. 40 years old. 18 when he committed the crime, 40 years old now. And the jurors in the case said that they no longer believed in the death penalty. But America is so diabolical. America is let me get the scripture real fast. You know what I'm saying? Because I cannot miss opportunities to bring out these things. It's absolutely essential. Hold on now. Hold on. 1 second. Salaki, bear with me. 1 second, Salakia. Now, what's the one I want? Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I want. This is what I want. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 27 and verse 39. And Isaac, let me start at verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Now, what is this talking about here? We know that Esau is the progenitor or the father of the so-called white man, the so-called white race. You understand? That's who Esau is, right? Esau is the father of the Edomites. Okay? And it says, now what happened was, again, we're not going to go into the long history of it, but Esau was the firstborn, and by definition of being the firstborn, he was traditionally supposed to get the birthright, right? But then he sold his birthright. Nobody took it from him. He sold his birthright to Jacob for what? For a morsel of red pottage, that red meat that he loves so much, but the blood oozing out of it. When he goes to the damn steakhouse and says, yeah, how do you like your steak, sir? Just give me the steak. They don't even tell you how they like it. They don't say well done or nothing. They just say, just give it to me. Straight out the kitchen. Don't even take it out the package and put it on the plate. You understand? That's what he is. But he sold his birthright for the red pottage. You understand? And now he's begging his father Isaac for a blessing. He's saying, damn, you only got one blessing, man? Help me, give me something. Right? So verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. You're going to live in places where you're going to prosper. You understand? Your dwelling is going to be the fatness of the earth. Verse 40. And by the sword shalt thou, this is what I want. It says, and by the sword shalt thou live. You're going to live by the sword. Tell me who's living by the sword today, man. Not just who's carrying this. Who lives by the sword, man? America, what you got, sis? Oh, Salakia. America lives by the sword. This devil lives by it. Don't let him fool you because because you hear them talk when you go to Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to Starbucks. How may I take your order? And you think, oh, they must be good people because they talk nice. You know what I'm saying? You go to the store, you hear them talk, and they're so polite and thank you, sir. And what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like they talk like that, and you think they you know what I mean? Like you rest on your laurels. But that's a fake and a front and a facade, man. You think the Christian church is all about love and forgiveness because your black ass Salakia was in a Christian church where all you did was sing and play a tambourine and hug and kiss and molest everybody in there. Yeah, Christians got a lot of love to give. You understand? So you think that that's what the other side does. No. The so-called white man's Christian church, Salakia, is nothing like yours. It's nothing like yours. The so-called white man's Christian church, he goes to church on Sunday. You know where he goes after church? To the gun range. After church on Sunday, he goes to the range. Or if you down here now, I done left New York, I'm down here living down south. You know where they go? They go to the woods. They go to the back and bust caps, you know what I'm saying, at bottles and glass and all of that in preparation to put a hot one in you. You understand? He is a violent bastard. You understand what I'm saying? Like, again, he's fooled you into thinking that he's he's nice and, you have nothing to worry about. How he would never do that. Not Jim. Tony? No. Susan. No, not Susan. Susan wouldn't do that. Susan is plotting to kill you. When 9/11 happened, where was the hugs and kisses? Where was the forgiveness? Where was the we shall overcome? Where was all of that? It was nowhere to be found. When 9/11 happened, Those devils they left church. Now I know 9/11 didn't take place on a weekend. It was a weekday. I'm gonna say it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday. They weren't in church that day, but I promise you, when they went to church that Sunday and they got out of there, they said, let's clip up. Get the guns ready. All of the heavy artillery. He's a violent bastard. Him killing his brother shows you that. He ain't gonna wait but so long, you know what I'm saying, to murder a brother. You know what I'm saying? He don't murder anybody. He'll murder one of his own. But he certainly ain't going to wait but so long to murder a brother. As soon as the opportunity presents itself, even if the opportunity doesn't present itself, he's going to kill a brother. You understand what I'm saying? 22 years in the middle of a pandemic. Are they not shutting everything down now, sis? Is that not happening? Say it again?
They are.
They're shutting everything down again, right? California's damn near shutting down. Yeah. I hear New York's shutting down again. They're going right back into phase 1. You know what I'm saying? They got a goddamn curfew all over North Carolina, all over the different states, all of these things. But no, they just had to kill his brother for this murder he committed back in 1999. Just had to do it. Salakia. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother, because they're going to serve us. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. You know what I'm saying? When they have the dominion. You understand? Now I'm going to get one more before we go back into the article. You know what I'm saying? Salakia. This is Psalms chapter 55 and verse 21. Classic scripture. One of my favorites that tells you who the devil is. You know what I'm saying? The book of Psalms, chapter 55, I'm going to start at verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. That's what he did. He broke his covenant with us when he put his hands, you know what I'm saying, up to be against us, even though we wanted to be at peace with him. We weren't messing with him, but he had to mess with us. And that's the spirit that he has right now. This brother is a model citizen and a model prisoner. The jurors said that he shouldn't get the death penalty. But the federal government, I want you to hone in on the word federal government. Federal government meaning like not like the state government, like as in the U.S., the feds. The U.S. government decided that this brother had to die yesterday. It just had to happen. There was no other way. And they went ahead and they executed this brother. You know what I'm saying? No sweat. Now we're going to go back to this article, Salakia. Where am I at? Here we go. Salakia. All right. Given that 5 jurors no longer stand by their death verdict, Brandon must not be executed until the courts have fully addressed the constitutionality of his sentence, Owen said. In the Supreme Court's decision to decline a stay Thursday, Justices Stephen Breyer, Alina Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor would have granted the request. Kim Kardashian West, here she go, this devil, who has championed criminal justice causes, again asked her millions of followers on social media this week to appeal to Trump to commute Bernard's sentence. She tweeted Thursday, just spoke to Brandon for what will likely be the last time. Hardest call I've ever had. She added that she was in tears. Now, of course, this is not about her being, she's a devil. But the fact of the matter is that she's on this campaign trying to, do prison reform and whatever, probably for her own gain or whatever. But she's doing it and she's put out to millions of people. How many followers? See how many followers Kim Kardashian has. See how many followers Kim Kardashian has on Instagram. Because I want to know how many people saw this. Let me know when you got it. You found it?
Yeah, actually. She has 193 million
She has what?
193 million.
193 million followers. Most people who are on Instagram follow her. And she put up there that, this, Brandon, yada, yada, being executed is wrong, such and such. Terrible news from the 7th Circuit. It is ordered that the emergency motion for stay of execution pending appeal is denied. This is why judges matter. Save Brandon Bernard. Democratic Senators Dick Durbin of Illinois and Cory Booker of New Jersey, members of the Judiciary Committee, had also urged Trump to grant clemency, arguing that the death penalty in the United States is fatally flawed in its imposition, now listen to this, and is disproportionately imposed based on race. Now, this is coming from senators, right? Dick Durbin, Cory Booker, right? The death penalty in the United States is fatally flawed in its imposition and is disproportionately imposed based on race. So it's no wonder why it's happening. This is a racial thing. Now, someone will bring up some statistic that shows you that a couple of Caucasians also got killed. They also got executed, within the past year or so. But you have to look at the numbers. They don't fill the prisons. How many black people are serving life? You understand? How many black people are on death row? How many black people are serving, crazy 50, 60 years, 40 years? You understand? You got devils that go to jail for 10 years for murder, 15 years for murder. That piece of garbage that killed Botham Jean while he was eating a bucket of ice cream in his house got how much? Was it 7 years? 8 years? You got something, sis? Please. You just got to press it one time.
I think she got like 10.
Even if she got 10, how many years did this brother serve? 22. And then got killed. Like, he's dead. Like, there's no maybe, kind of, hope so, we'll see. No. He served 22 years in a federal penitentiary and then was executed yesterday. You understand what I'm saying? By the government. After government representatives said that his execution should be stayed, it was appealed. And they didn't. And they denied the request. They denied it. You understand what I'm saying? No sweat. Attorney General William Barr said in July that those slated for death were among the worst criminals and acknowledged a desire to bring justice to the victims. The Justice Department did not respond to a request for further comment on the next batch of planned executions. Aside from Bernard's case, the federal government has scheduled 4 more executions. Okay? A second. Hold on now. 4 more executions, including one on Friday. All involve black men, except Lisa Montgomery, who is set to die next month and will be the first woman in nearly 70 years to be executed by the federal government. Oh, she got diagnosed with COVID. Oh, goodness. Yikes. No sweat. See that? You see what it says? All are black men. Except one woman. Let me read that again. It's like, aside from Bernard's case, the federal government has scheduled 4 more executions, including one on Friday. All involve black men except Lisa Montgomery, who was set to die next month and will be the first woman in nearly 70 years to be executed by the federal government. Death penalty experts say that the way the Trump administration is moving ahead with executions during a lame duck period has no parallel, and that in the past, the outgoing administration would defer such cases to the incoming one. President-elect Joe Biden campaigned in support of a moratorium on the death penalty, favoring instead life sentences without probation. So, sis, what you said earlier was absolutely true. Donald Trump this is unprecedented. And there's 4 more executions coming, with 3 of black men. They're supposed to come within the coming months. When are you going to realize that this is the devil? When are you going to stop giving our love to America? Again, it ain't about the crime. It ain't about that. It's about them going out of their way to destroy us, put a certain shame on us, but never look in the mirror and talk about their own shame. Never. Never. When we go to camp and we talk about the atrocities committed against black people, what do they say? Somebody tell me what they say when we talk about the atrocities committed against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. What do they say when we talk about slavery?
They say we should get over it because it's the past.
They say we should get over it because it's the past. That's exactly right, sis. They say we should get over it because it's the past. You know what was the past? This brother killing 2 people in 1999. That was the past. Why couldn't they get over it? What's killing them today? That's not going to bring them people back. What does killing them today have to do with, like, what does that solve? Nothing. It's not going to solve anything. You understand? But they nonetheless are going to do it. They're nonetheless going to do it because he is a violent bastard and he's a hypocrite and a liar. And he always has been. You understand? Salakia. Bernard was sentenced to death for his role in a robbery plot carried out by a group of friends ages 15 to 19 on a remote stretch of the Fort Hood military reservation near Killeen, Texas. The victims, Todd and Stacy Bagley. Now listen to this and let's see if it all starts to make sense. Married youth pastors who were white were kidnapped and shot in their heads before the car they were in was set on fire, according to court documents. Bernard's attorneys argued that he was a follower in the plot and had not known the couple were going to be murdered. Another adult defendant tried with Bernard, Christopher Villalva, who was accused of being the ringleader, was executed in September. 3 other people involved were not adults when the crime occurred and were ineligible for the death penalty, instead receiving prison sentences. The victims' family have said that despite reports of how the co-defendants may have turned their lives around in prison, they still support their executions. Todd Bagley's mother, Georgia, in a written statement, thanked the Trump bar and the Justice Department. This senseless act of unnecessary evil was premeditated and had many opportunities to be stopped at any time during a 9-hour period. She said in the statement, this was torture as they pleaded for their lives from the trunk of their own car. Please remember that the lives of family and friends were shattered, and we all have grieved for 21 years, waiting for justice to finally be served. Waiting for justice to finally be served. Waiting for justice to finally be served. But in the ISUPK, we teach hate, and we're a cult because we're waiting for justice to be served. We're waiting for justice to be served for Trayvon Martin. It hasn't been served. We're waiting for justice to be served for Eric Garner. Hasn't been served. Mike Brown hasn't been served. Sandra Bland hasn't been served. Emmett Till hasn't been served. Rodney King hasn't been served. Slavery hasn't been served. I mean, we can do this all day. We're waiting for justice to be served, so we hit the street corners and we tell black people, listen, you should want justice for the crimes that have been committed against you. And what do they call us? A hate group. A cult. Do you understand? This was a couple. These parents got to be in their 70s. You know what I'm saying? 60s at the least. This was 21 years ago. You know what I'm saying? They're more than likely in their, late 60s, early 70s. Shoot, could be their 80s. And they said that they waited 21 years for justice. 21 years, man. What about 200 years? 100 years, 300 years. But we're supposed to get over it again. These devils know about justice, and they're going to get it. They're going to seek it out at every turn. And they're not going to sugarcoat it. They're not going to, they're not going to play games because they love their people. Black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, when are you going to start loving yours, man? When are you going to start loving your people? When are we going to start loving our people enough to say, nah, I'm not okay until justice is served? That's what we have to start doing. Salakia. All right, I'm gonna finish out this. I'm gonna finish out this article. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take a quick break before we get into the next. Next set of articles and things. All right. So where am I at? Salakia. But Georgia Bagley said she was moved by the apologies of Bernard and Villalba before he was executed in September. The apology and remorse helped very much heal my heart, she said, beginning to cry and recompose herself. According to the Associated Press, I can very much say I forgive them. I forgive them, but them niggas gotta die. You see how that works? You see that? Doesn't that sound so much different than the Christianity we were fed? The Christianity we were fed was, I forgive you. Now, slap me again. You slapped me the first time. I forgive you. Do it again. You raped me the first time. I forgive you. Rape me again. You molested me the first time. I forgive you. Molest me again. Stab me again. Shoot me again. Torture me again. That's the form of Christianity that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have been fed in this country. We've been fed that. We've been fed, you know what I'm saying? That version of Christianity. But yet these devils, or this devil's mother, let me see, let me make sure I'm saying it right. Yeah. It's like it. Todd Bagley's mother in Georgia, in a written statement, thanked the Trump bar and the Justice Department. You know what I'm saying? Please remember that the lives of family and friends were shattered, and we all have grieved for 21 years waiting for justice to finally be served. They were waiting for him to die. But then she said, I can very much say, I forgive them. That's the question right there. If you forgive them, why they got to die? Huh? That's the question that makes sense to us. You know what I'm saying? But that question doesn't make sense to you know what I'm saying, to them. You gotta, I forgive you, but that don't mean you ain't dying. They want justice. You understand? Let me see. I was gonna do a quick break. Let me see. I got 10. 1 second. Salakia. Yeah, I'm gonna just read this real fast, right? Feds put first black inmate to death since execution restart. So this is the other cat that was involved in the murder that they put to death. His name is Christopher Villalba. A man who killed a religious couple visiting Texas from Iowa was executed Thursday. This is in September. The first black inmate put to death as part of the Trump administration's resumption of federal executions after a nearly 20-year pause. Christopher Villalba, also 40, was pronounced dead. So that means they were both 18 when it happened. Was pronounced dead shortly before 7 p.m. after receiving a lethal injection at the federal prison in Terre Haute, Indiana. In the last statement, Villalba asked God to comfort the families of the couple he killed in 1999, saying, Father, heal their hearts with grace and love. After robbing and locking Todd and Stacey Bagley in the trunk of their car, the then 19-year-old Villalba shot them in the head and burned their bodies in the car. Villalba's final words were, I'm ready, Father. Villalba turned toward his mother behind a glass window in a witness room. As the lethal injections began, he was looking at me when he died, his mother, Lisa Brown, told the Associated Press in a text message confirming she attended the execution. The execution comes during demonstrations, disappointment, violence, and sadness in Louisville, Kentucky, after a grand jury did not charge the officers who shot Breonna Taylor with her death, rather filing lower-level felonies for shooting into neighboring homes. Questions about racial bias in the criminal justice system have been front and center since May, following the death of George Floyd, after a white Minneapolis police officer pressed his knee on the handcuffed black man's neck for several minutes. Right? A report this month by the Washington, D.C.-based Death Penalty Information Center said black people remain overrepresented on death rows and that black people who kill white people are far more likely to be sentenced to death than white people who kill black people. I'm not up here saying this for no reason. This is a demonstration of their power and their blood thirst. If you kill one of theirs, you're gonna feel it, and that's why. You want to know why black people kill each other in the ghettos? You want to know why? Life is war. It always is gonna happen. People kill people. It's what it is. It happens. But the reason why black people kill each other in the ghetto, and you say, well, why they don't kill white people? Why don't they never kill? I mean, because it's just not good business. It's not good business. I mean, you kill another brother, you probably, you could very well go to jail, but you can go on the run. They ain't gonna press you too hard about killing another black man. But you kill a white man, they're gonna find you the next day. They're gonna use a fine-tooth comb to locate you. You understand? That's the difference. You got something, Sister Lucky? No sweat. Of the 56 inmates currently on federal death row, 26, or nearly 50%, are black, according to center data updated Wednesday. 22, or nearly 40%, are white, and 7, around 12%, were Latino. So if you put those blacks and Latinos together, you got like 60-something%, right? There's one Asian on federal death row. Black people make up only about 13% of the population. That is so important to say because we're making up a higher percentage of the inmates on death row. Yet, we only make up 13% of the U.S. population. Black people, not black men, right? It says, black people make up only about 13% of the population. Black men probably make up about 6% of the population, 5%. You understand? White men, I'm just gonna throw it out there, probably make up somewhere in the vicinity of about, by themselves, white men, 15%, maybe 13, 14%. But we're more highly represented, we're overrepresented on death row and in the prisons still, no matter which president we're under. No sweat. We'll take a quick break. We come back, we'll get another story, piggybacking off of this, of course, remember, again, this is Unplugged from the Matrix, ISUPK, Durham, North Carolina, holding it down for my brother, Officer Ayaz, he will be back with us next week, so, of course, I ain't quite on the DJ like him, but that's no sweat. I'm gonna do my best, and nonetheless, in his stead. So keep rocking out with us. We'll be right back shortly.
The Lord said, confession good for the soul. So right now,
All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time, and I was just a stranger. All I up and not knowing the Lord will kill you for that hocus pocus. Used to roll with niggas that cook dope with weaponry. Same ones claim they love you. I had your life in jeopardy. And I know my mother wants success for me. But that G should take a girl straight to ecstasy. Remember running with bruh, even though we did the wrong thing. My life would've been a lot different if I fell up under Rob's wing. Was too sincere for a wicked game. Shame the Lord's name. Now we afflicted with pain. All I ever wanted was to be respected by stand-up niggas, not knowing that them handcuffs custom made to fit. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time, and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time, and I was just a stranger. All I wanted was to be a gangster. I ain't lying, I was close to dying. Knew I wanted to live, but I wasn't trying. I was defiant, not knowing that this ain't how we live. This just how they design it. Cause when you in them streets, you get more endemic. They don't tell you gonna be on papers and on restrictions. My father said a hard head to make a soft ass. I didn't care, I wanted fear when I walked past. In a place where a black man's blood is cheap. I thank the Lord for the day I was on Lake Street. Pissing in the cup, back and forth to court. Found the DC school, I swear it felt like I cried on that fucking porch. The Lord said, my sheep, they ain't hear my voice. Asked me why I'm UPK, I told them I ain't have a choice. They said God ain't 50-50 and what's gonna come to pass. The Lord called me out the world and I started running fast. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time, and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time, and I was just a stranger. Go ahead. All I wanted was to be a gangster. It's UPK until it hit the fan. I want power and a throne, nigga, fuck them grams. All I wanted was to be a gangster, but I was real as a righteous man. And now got the upper hand, gotta promote this brand. Correct whole multitudes until they all understand. If I can't get that crown, Lord, then put me in the hands of someone more mighty, make me this hit man. Reminiscing on the pain that was felt. Shit, I was in the jail. Shit, I needed help. But Swan was locked up and the judge put man on the shelf. Heavy cry cause it felt like I was left by myself. All I wanted was to impress niggas with my grinding. Now I ain't trying to prove shit to nobody but Muhammad. Cause most these niggas lie and pump smoke. One time for the most high, he made me a cutthroat. Cause all I ever wanted was to smash my opponents. Stacking cash, not knowing it wouldn't last. Then God, I hope you accept my atonement. Cause all I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made before the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time, and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made before the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time, and I was just a stranger. All I wanted was to be a
Most High in Christ, man. All right, so we back at it. You understand? We're gonna pick up right where we left off at. You know what I'm saying? So last time we read about this brother, Bernard, what's his name? Not Lisa Montgomery. One second. His name was Brandon Bernard, who was executed yesterday. Now I want to get a little bit of history because I said the article said that he was the first, you know what I'm saying, black person, or the first person, or Slovakia, the youngest person executed in over 70 years. Well, let's go back in history and let's find out who the person was before him, who was still the youngest, or top one of the youngest, top two, top three youngest ever executed. We're going to read the story of George Junius Stinney Jr. He was born October 21st, 1929, and died June 16, 1944. George Junius Stinney Jr. was a 14-year-old African-American boy who was convicted in a proceeding later vacated. Later vacated. That means that years after he was executed, they decided it wasn't right. In a proceeding later vacated as an unfair trial in 2014 of murdering two white girls, Betty June Binnicker, age 11, and Mary Emma Thames, age 7, in his hometown of Alcolu, South Carolina. He was executed by electric chair in June of 1944. Stinney is the youngest American to be sentenced to death and executed since Hannah Oquewish in 1786. Hannah Oquewish, of course, was Native Indian, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to try to read through this real fast. A re-examination of the Stinney case began in 2004, and several individuals in the Northeastern University School of Law sought a judicial review. Stinney's conviction was overturned in 2014, 70 years after he was executed, when a court ruled that he had not received a fair trial. So, 77 good night. 77 years later. Hold up, Salakia. Let's try to get the scripture. 77 years later, they said the U.S. government decided it was not a fair trial after he was dead, executed at the age of 14. No sweat. We're gonna get a report of we're gonna get into some of the details of the incident. In 1944, on March 23rd, the bodies of two young girls, Betty June Binnicker and Mary Emma Thames, were both white, were discovered in Okaloo, South Carolina. The girls had gone missing the day before, as they never returned home the previous night. Binnicker had died as the result of head trauma, her skull having been fractured. In 1944, George Stinney lived in Okaloo, South Carolina with his father, George Stinney Sr., mother, Amy, brothers John and Charles, and sisters Catherine and Amy. Stinney's father worked at the town's sawmill, and the family resided in company housing. Okaloo was a small working-class mill town where white and black neighborhoods were separated by railroad tracks. The town was typical of southern towns at the time. Given segregated schools and churches for white and black residents, there was limited interaction between them. The bodies of Betty June Binnicker and Mary Emma Thames were found in a ditch on March 23rd, 1944, after failing to return home the night before. The bodies were discovered on the African-American side of Okaloo. Stinney's father helped in the search. The girls had been beaten with a weapon, variously reported as a piece of blunt metal or a railroad spike. The girls were last seen riding their bicycles looking for flowers. As they passed the Stinney's property, they had asked Stinney and his sister Amy if they knew where to find maypops, a local name for passion flowers. According to Amy, she was with Stinney at the time the police later established for the murders. So right there, he had an alibi. That his sister said he was with her. His sister wasn't implicated at all, right? But no sweat. According to an article reported by the Wire Service on March 24, 1944, and published widely with the mistake of the boy's name preserved, the sheriff announced the arrest of George Junius and stated that the boy had confessed and led officers to a hidden piece of iron. Both girls had suffered blunt force trauma to the face and head. Reports differed as to what kind of weapon had been used. According to a report by the medical examiner, these wounds had been inflicted by a blunt instrument with a round head, about the size of a hammer. Both girls' skulls were punctured. The medical examiner reported no evidence of sexual assault to the younger girl. though the genitalia of the older girl was slightly bruised. Investigation. Stinney and his older brother Johnny were arrested on suspicion of murdering the girls. Johnny was released by police, but Stinney was held. He was not allowed to see his parents until after his trial and conviction. According to a handwritten statement, Stinney's arresting officer was H.S. Newman, a Clarendon County deputy who stated, "I arrested a boy by the name of George Stinney. He then made a confession and told me where to find a piece of iron about 15 inches where he said he put it in a ditch about 6 feet from the bicycle." No confession statement signed by Stinney is known to exist. The 14-year-old later claimed that the arresting officer starved him and then bribed him with food to confess. And we know that this happens all the time. It's been documented. And they have all these different, different jargon to say it now, or if you bribe somebody or if you coerce somebody into a confession. I mean, there's all over Netflix. All over all kind of documentaries where somebody will say, yeah, like I made a confession, but I didn't mean to make a confession. They coerced me. They said if I say this, then this will happen. I didn't have my lawyer present. They didn't tell me I could get a lawyer. I didn't know anything. Happens all the time. You know what I'm saying? Happens all the time. I haven't seen the documentary yet on the Central Park 5, I think it is. I can't watch it. I'm going to watch it, but that kind of stuff is rough for me. But this has been happening for years. But they didn't with Brandon Bernard. There was no oversight. There was no mistake. There was no oops. At least not yet. Who knows? Maybe 80 years from now, after this brother spent 22 years in prison and got killed last night. Like, again, let me drive that home. This brother was killed last night. In 20. What's today? Today is what? December? December? I think it's the 11th?
December 11th.
December 11th. This brother was executed on December 10th at about 9 p.m. for a crime that was committed in 1999. Well, George Stinney said that they starved him and bribed him. Let me get a scripture real fast. Salakia. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not... Let me back up. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, man. Because we know that these scriptures are talking about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. It's talking about us, man. It's talking about us. And these prophecies are about us. And the Most High said he was going to send a nation, a fierce nation from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Man, that tells you who it's talking about. It's talking about America. They pride themselves as the eagle. You understand? As swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Because at first we didn't understand. We speak in Hebrew and they speak in this garbage that you're hearing right now. You understand? A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. They didn't show George Stinney any favor. They didn't show him any favor. You understand? The devil is so fast to say, they'll talk about age and this person. I mean, remember when Elizabeth Smart, we've heard that story before. Dave Chappelle talked about it years ago when that little, white girl got, she got, I think, kidnapped and all this stuff or whatever. And it was national news while she was 2 exits away from her house. Something to that. She was close, a few miles away from her house. But it was national news. Every time I came home, where is Elizabeth Smart? The news anchor would get on the thing and be like, Elizabeth, if you can hear this, just know we care about you. We're thinking about you. And we're praying for you. You understand? Where was that for George Stinney? Where was that for Brandon Bernard? It wasn't there. Where was it for Emmett Till? No sweat. Salaki, let me back up. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. They don't show favor to our young. You can easily find a video of a big burly cop putting his knee in a 12, 13-year-old black girl's back. Or a video of some dirty truant officer or security guard or cop flipping a black girl in high school upside down, damn near breaking her neck. It's easy to find. You got something, sis? Yeah. You understand? They didn't show Trayvon Martin any favor because he was young. They didn't. They didn't show him until any favor because he was young. You understand? That's what. Where am I at? 1 second, Salakia. Stinney was reported to have gotten into fights at school, including a fight where he scratched a girl with a knife. This assertion by Stinney's 7th grade teacher, who was African American, was disputed by Amy Stinney Ruffner when it was reported in 1995. A local white woman who remembered Stinney from childhood claimed in 2014 that he had threatened to kill her and her friend the day before the murder, and that he was known as a bully. Sure he was. And again, whether he was or he wasn't, the point is, America is not forgiving. That's the point. America is not forgiving. Even if George Stinney did it, America didn't forgive him. They didn't show him favor because he was young. You understand what I'm saying? The trial was unfair. They'll find all kind of loopholes to get a little white boy out of jail nowadays. Tell me I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? If they don't get you out of jail, they putting you in the back of the car getting Big Macs and Whoppers and delicious golden crispy fries after you just murdered about 8 people in a church. You understand what I'm saying? That's the difference. But not us. Salakia. Following Stinney's arrest, his father was fired from his job at the local sawmill, and the Stinney family had to immediately vacate their company housing. The family feared for their safety. Stinney's parents did not see him again before the trial. He had no support during his 81-day confinement and trial. He was detained at a jail in Columbia, 50 miles from Alcaloo, due to the risk of lynching. Stinney was questioned alone without his parents or an attorney. Although the Sixth Amendment guarantees legal counsel, it was not until the United States Supreme Court's 1963 ruling in Gideon v. Wainwright that explicitly required representation through the course of criminal proceedings. Again, we're going to drop that, man, because it's hard for me to read. But all of the things, the legal things that now they say you got to have, he never got. So he went to jail one day and never saw his parents again. They never saw their son again alive. They didn't get to visit him, talk to them, counsel them, say, Mom, I love you. I'm sorry. This happened. I didn't do it. None of those things. 81 days in jail, executed at age 14. To this day, the youngest person executed by the U.S. federal government. And now, just to show you just the connection in history. Just yesterday, not the new youngest, but the youngest person since George Stinney. So 70 plus years, 1944, 54, 64, 74, 84, 94, 2004, 2014, 77 years. The youngest person executed by the federal government in 77 years is another black man. Oh, and here's the crazy part. Before him was another black man. And before him was another black man. You understand? No sweat. I want to read this last article. Before we get in clip to class again. I didn't get into Hannah Okuish, you know what I'm saying? But she was like, you can look her up. Her name is Hannah Okuish, HANNAHOCUISH. She was a Native Indian girl who was executed as well. All right, feds to investigate after a sheriff's deputy killed a black man entering his own home in Columbus, Ohio. A sheriff's deputy working for a fugitive task force shot and killed a black man trying to enter his own home in Columbus, Ohio last week in a case that is now being investigated by federal authorities. Casey Goodson, 23, was fatally shot on Friday by a 17-year veteran of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, identified as Deputy Jason Meade. Meade was working for the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force looking for violent offenders at the time, but Goodson was not the person being sought by the task force, Columbus police said. Goodson had put his keys into his door before he was shot and fell into his kitchen, where his 5-year-old brother and his 72-year-old grandmother saw him lying on the ground with a Subway sandwich. Family attorney Sean Walton told CNN. Goodson, an Ohio concealed carry permit holder, was legally armed at the time of the shooting, according to the Columbus Division of Police. Goodson was not alleged to have committed any crimes, has no criminal background, and was not the target of any investigation, Walton told CNN. Now let's see how this pans out. Let's see. 17-year veteran. This person's been on the force for 17 years, and they shot a person who is not who they were looking for, who has no criminal record, who did everything the right way. Once again, the wave of our brothers and sisters being killed for doing things the right way. Well, of course you have a legal right to own a firearm, but you got to do it the right way. He had a concealed carry. That's not a regular permit. That's not, okay, I got a permit for you. That's a concealed carry permit. He is legally allowed to have a concealed. If he wants to put his gun in his shirt, he can. As far as I know. I mean, I know there's a little details. You got to have a holster and things like that. I don't know all those laws. But my point is, he's legally registered to carry a firearm, a concealed firearm. Dead. According to police, no other officers witnessed the shooting. Ooh-wee. No civilian eyewitnesses have been identified, and there is no body camera footage of the actual shooting because Franklin County Sheriff's Task Force officers aren't issued body cameras. CNN reached out to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office for comment, but has not heard back. Walton called on authorities to provide the family answers and said that the officer involved should be held accountable. I haven't read anything in this article that says he's in jail. I don't know. I haven't read anything in this article. Have you heard it, sis? I haven't heard anything in this article that says that this person who shot him is currently being detained. Maybe it's somewhere else in the article. At this point, witness testimony and physical evidence raised serious concerns about why Casey was even confronted, let alone why he was shot dead while entering his own home, Walton told CNN. In a statement, Walton said Goodson was an amazing young man whose life was tragically taken. Even hours after his death, the keys that he used to let himself in the house as he was shot and killed hung in the door, a reminder to his family of how close he was to safety. Federal and local authorities investigate. Even though the shooting did not involve a Columbus police officer, the Columbus Police Critical Incident Response Team is the primary agency investigating the shooting because it occurred in Columbus. The investigation will examine whether Meade was legally justified in shooting Goodson, according to Columbus Police. Once the investigation is complete, the evidence will be turned over to the Franklin County prosecutor to be presented to a grand jury. Police said, in addition, the U.S. Attorney for Southern District of Ohio and the FBI are launching a federal civil rights investigation. This offers the highest level of transparency and a clear path to the truth, Columbus Police Chief Thomas Quinlan said. Columbus Police had on Monday attempted to turn over the investigation to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, the state agency that typically investigates police-involved shootings, but the BCI announced that they would not be able to accept the case because of an unexplained delay in the request. We received a referral to take a 3-day-old officer-involved shooting case, not knowing all the reasons as to why so much time has passed before the case was referred to BCI. We cannot accept this case, a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office said. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yaw said that the BCI has a memorandum of understanding with Columbus Police that says the state agency should be the first call after a police shooting. BCI is the first call because we cannot be the subject matter experts unless we're on the scene from the beginning to document the evidence of what happened from the start. Blah, 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 blah. An autopsy will be performed. The shooting has left the black community in Columbus reeling. Local civil rights activists say police brutality against black people in the central Ohio city is nothing new. Wait a minute. Hold on. Among the black men and teens killed by Columbus police in recent years were Julius Tate, a 16-year-old who was fatally shot in December of 2018 during a sting operation, Kareem Ali Nadir Jones, a 30-year-old who was fatally shot by officers in 2017, Tyree King, a 13-year-old killed by police in September 2016, and Henry Green, a 23-year-old shot dead by plainclothes officers in June 2016. You know what's crazy about this? Somebody read my mind. What's crazy about what I just read? I'll tell you what's crazy. I don't know any of them. I never heard their names until I just read this. That's how common. That's why the people are saying in Central Ohio, this is what they do. They just shoot us. Movement for Black Lives leaders said they believe Godson was executed. A crisis of this magnitude calls for a massive realignment of power, said Chelsea Fuller, a Columbus-based spokeswoman for the Movement for Black Lives. The realignment can and will happen through defunding the police, reducing their bloated budgets, and reinvesting those resources in the creation of new systems of public safety that account for all lives, not just some. Yakita said black residents feel exhausted, especially after joining the nation in protesting police brutality and racism all summer. We are feeling hopelessness and hurt, Yakita said. It's like we did all that for nothing. Who told them that they had done it all for nothing? The ISUPK under Commandant General Yohana, we told you had done it all for nothing. All the marching wasn't going to mean anything. All the protests and the Black Lives Matter and the picket signs, all of that wasn't going to mean anything. And we went down to all those protests and we said it. You can look up video. You can look up video of us in Houston. You can look up video of us in California, in the Midwest, in Ohio, in New York, in North Carolina, in Florida, South. You can look up video of us at these rallies, at camp, saying all this marching isn't going to do anything. They're going to kill us more and continue, and it will continue to not do a goddamn thing. We said it. Salakia. It's depressing, really, and I think people were already feeling vulnerable that we can't feel protected in our own communities, that young black men and black women, we face an undue level of risk just living. Columbus's racial tension goes beyond policing. Black residents say the town's history of redlining, segregation, and gentrification of black neighborhoods has also been a boiling point. Columbus is the fourth most economically segregated metro area in the country. According to a study at the University of Toronto, the city is 59% white and 28% black. You understand? We got to take a stand. And when I say take a stand, taking a stand don't mean hitting the streets and marching and protesting so white people can join you. Taking a stand is saying, to hell with them. To hell with anybody who's not black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. Taking a stand is joining the ISUPK under Commandant General Yohana. You know what I'm saying? And choosing to love your own people. That's taking a stand. George Stinney, you know what I'm saying? Brandon Bernard. And what's this brother's name? Salakia. God. I'll make sure I say his name right. Casey Goodson. Casey Goodson. And when did this happen? Let me get the date. This happened on Friday. This article's from December 9th. This happened this month. So about 5 days before this. So about December 5th or 4th, somewhere in that vicinity. This is the reality of being blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. This show is called Unplugged from the Matrix because that thing that's pulled over your eyes, that world, that fantasy world you live in, where you black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, and America loves you, and you got opportunity, and you're fine, and you can just dandily walk along down the street, skipping, making my way downtown, is false and a farce, and it is not true. America hates you. If you're black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, America hates you. And the only option is to come into the ISUPK and the Convention in Johanna. Learn how to love your people. Learn how to love your brothers and your sisters so you have a safe haven against the powers of this world that seek to destroy you. You understand? That's the only way. You understand? But yeah, so that's going to be it for today's episode, Unplugged from the Matrix. Again, you know what I'm saying? I know usually we had a party jumping in here. Y'all be hitting you with the, you know what I mean, effects and all of that. You know what I mean? I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to get like him, but I'm not quite there yet, but no sweat. You know what I mean? Next week, we're going to bring you yet another powerful episode. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, my brother will be back in full swing of things. You know what I mean? And we're going to bring out more information, more articles, more history. You know what I'm saying? And it completely expose this place for what it is and unplug our people from the Matrix. You understand? So with that, shalom.